Welcome to another episode of the Journey podcast. Today we have Anant, a destination marketing expert and a promotion expert for the Ministry of Tourism as well. His focus primarily is on transforming urban and rural spaces into thriving, sustainable livelihoods centered around three pillars: policy, infrastructure, and local entrepreneurship. Today, we're going to delve deep into what destination development strategy is and why is it crucial for a state like Odisha. Welcome Anant to the Journey podcast.
Thank you, Kalpit.
So much of hype around destination development. Tell us, how is it different from traditional development, other core traditional development concepts, if you were to explain it to a layman?
Okay, so it's very simple. Uh, if you look at the overall growth of our country since independence, it has always been the larger idea is to have a destination which is a development which is destination centric development. Like if you talk about Odisha or any other state, so you'll see a lot of election agendas in general are specific to कि मेरे जगह पे क्या नहीं हुआ, what didn't happen in my place. Like in Odisha, Western Odisha is underdeveloped or Southern Odisha is underdeveloped. Similarly, there are lots of hues and cries around creating separate states.
Streets, yes.
So these are all because of inequalities of development. So everybody feels that we needs to be more developed. So that there has been a gap. So what are the tools to kind of make good this gap? So to a larger extent, from my experience, I call it as a development oriented process, which is destination centric development. So you come up with any kind of policy, any kind of governance system, any kinds of developmental plans. You have to look at the larger vision of the destination. Very bright example I can tell you. There are enough industrial towns in India, Nalco, Tata, or say Raulkela Steel Plant. You go and you see their townships. They are very well developed. They are developed looking at a 30, 40 or 50 years ahead, what could be the livability or living conditions. So those kind of approach, if you put it in a development process, we call it as a destination development centric approach. In current scenario, destination development is very tourism oriented. So in tourism we call it as a destination development approach. Say for your example, few years back Odisha government has a scheme called not exactly a scheme, it's a project called Eco Retreat Odisha. It was not designed to give the people or the tourist a glamping experience at the beach. Largely in media, in photos, in videos, everyone will see how glamorous it is. But the larger idea is that people will keep coming to a place like Konark, or people will keep coming to a place like Hirakut, or same Sonapur, which is happening right now, or Koraput, or Bhitarkanika, which was never heard of. So destination development approach very largely focuses on developing a destination, be it employment generation, governance, infrastructure, infra for people like road, connectivity. So everything comes as a package. When you design your development plan or policies, so having destination as center.
You talked of the Eco Retreat project. Beyond.
That's an example, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Beyond the hype of social media, did you think it lived up to expectation in terms of numbers? Because ours, Odisha in particular, India in general, is a price-sensitive market. Do you think the numbers were at par with?
Yeah. So look at it in this way.
Yeah.
There are a lot of music festivals happening everywhere. Some of the music festivals, like Justin Bieber or bigger bands, the prices are very high. Some music festivals prices are very low. In Bhubaneswar, you'll find a lot of classical music festivals which is very less or free of cost.
Yeah.
So each of the project is not designed for everyone. So Eco Retreat was a luxury product. It was designed for a certain category of people who can pay a certain amount of money. So, as I said, it is just an example. So, I will not look at its impact in terms of how many people stayed in the camps or how much business it got to the operator who is managing. Rather, I would look at it how people recognized Konark as a destination. How people recognize Hirakud as a destination, how people recognize Daringbadi as a destination. So I don't have exact data, but if you actually look at the eco-retreat helped Daringbadi, Satkosia, Hirakud,
Right.
which are very lesser known. Say, for that matter, Sonapur, it's a very pristine village in Odisha, the southernmost beach village in Odisha. Now it got recognized. So these are the projects, or be it any kind of other project. So they are designed to uplift a particular destination or a community or a geographical location.
Right.
So that's the larger interest.
Right.
So instead of analyzing what is right or price point, because it is already designed for a luxury crowd, it is not
Correct.
designed for everyone.
Mass audience, yeah.
Mass, and
Yeah.
it also encourages, once the destination is developed, it also encourages local entrepreneurs or local players to come up with their own ventures,
Ideation, yeah.
own startup or
Yeah.
own venture or a shop. Someone, you'll go to Konark, in those area where eco-retreat is happening. So a lot of new shops are opening nearby. So it brings a lot of avenues to the people geographical
Right.
located near the destination. So
Right.
so these are very larger goal-oriented projects.
Understood. You've constantly underscored the importance of Odisha being projected as a destination market. Now, what does this mean for two people? One, the policymaker, second, the citizen.
In social media, you'll see a lot of viral reels or viral content that people don't acknowledge Odisha away from Odisha, which is true. And not necessarily that everyone will recognize everyone. I will tell you a place called Thambang. Do you know the place? Absolutely not. So it's more of there is never late for anything. So when I look back and think about the development of Odisha, I feel slow progress is also a boon for a living standard and living style in Odisha. So when I say destination development, destination centric development and projecting Odisha, so there are a lot of opportunities that comes to a state or the people of state. So when we make some plans for Odisha, whether we are looking at what will be the environmental impact for next, say, 30, 40 years or the future generation, what will be the transport impact. Suppose Bhubaneswar becomes a very bigger city with a 2 crore population. So will we be able to handle those kind of crowd? Say Puri is becoming a future destination for pilgrimages. So is it going to handle that amount of crowd that are coming to Puri? So when we decide whether there will be an airport near Puri or everything that is being planned for, like Bhubaneswar already has an airport and there is a new airport planning.
Right.
Why it is being planned? So what are the expansion plans? So when you look at the development process, you look at everything that the city or the state needs in terms of the future,
whatever,
in terms of how it is going to respond to the development.
Right.
So within the process of development, you also need to make your city or make your people responsiveness and also responsible or accountable what is going to offer to you in future.
But having said that, from Chillika to Cuttack, Odisha is diverse. How do we plan to integrate both rural and urban spaces into this approach?
Any development process, the bigger challenge of the native inhabitants, people who stay in that destination,
Right.
they it is also a common practice to make them feel involved. So that's why our governance system, that's why we are a democratic country. So every citizen has a role in the development process. If I look at, you asked me about Chillika to Cuttack.
Yes.
I will tell you that, let's say Konark to Korafut.
Okay.
So it's almost like east coast
Fair
to
enough.
southern
Yes,
coast.
yes.
Or say Mayurbhanj to Malkangiri.
Okay.
So what about the range that you take in Odisha? So all the development process in each of the districts cannot be similar kind of an approach.
Right.
Okay. Cuttack, Puri or the nearest coastal districts, their development process is very much oriented to the weather conditions that they have. And also what kind of value addition these destinations bring in terms of heritage, in terms of agriculture, in terms of industry, potential to industry, in terms of art and craft, in terms of the skills that the people have. Skills is also very much aligned with the education system, quality of education that being provided in these areas. So whosoever makes a policy for the for these coastal districts, it will be a very differently oriented. Similarly, if you go to Western Odisha is also very much agriculture oriented community. Their handloom is a core value system there. The food practice is different. The art and culture is different. The belief system is different. The food intake is different. So when any new project comes up in Odisha, or in western part of Odisha, it has to align with the existing geographically landscape, the existing human behavior, the place, how the people react to certain situations.
Yeah.
So all these things are included in the projects
Okay.
while we discuss the developmental work. So also it lies with the citizens. Also it lies with the newspaper channels or media. So everyone how they project their destinations for the rest of the world. Say let's take tourism as a or real estate. There are two things: tourism and real estate. Let's take it ahead. So you see a lot of Make in Odisha conferences.
Yeah.
So many investment is coming to Odisha. So when we look at those, so we need to understand in terms of tourism, what is the ideal investment or ideal infra or services needs to be built in these districts.
Particular belts, yes.
Yes. If what are the conducive market? Western Odisha is very connected to Chhattisgarh and other districts, other states.
So you have that influence as well.
That influence. You also, when you look at the development of urban spaces, say Bhubaneswar, there are 115 ULBs, urban local bodies in Odisha. And there are only five municipal corporations, and these corporations or municipality or notified area council, they are defined on the basis of their number of people,
Yes.
they are living, the population.
Population.
So when the population also increases, your services has to be
At par with that.
at par with that, adequate. Your education system has to be to the standard of what the global, what at least the national level people are getting. So very simple story that I'll tell you about
sure.
myself. I grew up in a small city called Puri.
Okay.
Internet came to our life during graduation, which is also with a minimum access. So when I go out and I discuss and interact with my counterparts in different states, or say people from Bhubaneswar, it's only 50-60 kilometers. Their orientation about future perspectives are very different.
Yes.
So these very small things matter when and it leads to unequal growth and
That's
a
true.
lot of inequality in terms of understanding of things. So these gaps, while you implement your development projects, so these gaps needs to be addressed.
Okay.
So what could be the better education? You go to Raulkela because it's a steel city and development in terms of RSP was there. You'll find a lot of people from Raulkela who their education is very good. I'm talking about the urban city,
Right.
which was not the standard, say in other smaller urban spaces. Raulkela is again a small urban space, though it's now a municipal corporation. There once upon a time it was a small urban space. So these inequalities, and when the policy being governed at the state level, it is not designed as a district level approach. So when the district administration and the locals and everything, all the stakeholders at a particular destination, they approach to a project or a policy, they need to understand and they need to do it the way their destination, their place demands to be. So that's how I think the equal distribution may happen.
I mean, fair point. But from what you were saying, just say our secondary research in understanding the nuances between the psyche, thinking of different people divided by geographical locations, that is resulting in the inequalities, would also require a lot of time to you spending on the road with the people to understand those, little bit of behavioral nuances that we call. So how important is that aspect?
Yeah, so that's why there is a system. So I have studied some of the governing systems of different countries, and India is a very classic story because
Correct.
India is such a huge country.
Yeah.
So you won't believe there will be several countries which are which less in terms of the area and also in population than Odisha itself.
Yeah.
So governing this large scale country is not an easy task. Not an easy task. So Indian system is designed like that. That it is designed to have an equal distribution but whether it is actually implemented on ground that way or not. So that orientation will come when the citizens becomes the larger force,
Stakeholder, yeah.
or larger stakeholder.
Yeah.
You very rightfully said this feeling of being a stakeholder to your own city, bring this feeling of being a stakeholder to the to your own state, and demanding for what you need, or saying, or say it loud, or being a group and create a pressure group.
Right.
So those kind of approach is what makes it driving.
Okay.
So
Understood.
many cases like industrialization in Odisha is a very classic example.
Yes.
Uh, it happened in Kalinganagar during Tata Steel tenure, and they people opposed. Certain people believed that this industry is not good for our place or our people. They revolted. What happens by the government and how it got a bigger revolution and what all happened, will not get into that. I'm saying that early 2000, almost like 25 years back, there was a community in Odisha who had raised voice against Tata Steel, the bigger player.
Correct.
And they revolted, and now the plant is there, and maybe because of the revolt they got some reward. So that awareness, self-awareness among the citizens about their own destination, where they live in, and what they need for the future generation is very important. And this kind of knowledge and information is there with all the communities. In Jagatsinghpur, like a place in Odisha where POSCO was there, people revolted and POSCO got back. So a lot of people will say there was politics. I don't look at it that black and blue. I look at least some people had the dare to fight against what is some.
Okay.
I'm not saying that POSCO was right or wrong. I'm saying they felt that this is not the right thing to do.
The natives felt the ownership to the land is what you're trying to encapsulate.
Absolutely.
Okay,
In
understood.
Bhubaneswar also you'll find, so all the wastage are being collected in Bhubaneswar. There are some dumping yards, or say MRF, material recovery facilities, or some. Bhubaneswar has some mechanism.
Right.
It's one of the nicest mechanism in India that Odisha has
Yeah.
in solid waste management. But there is a place in near Chandaka site called Daruthenga where a lot of waste are being dumped. So for years, a lot of people will know that the villagers have been opposing. So they know that these things will hamper our locality. So that self-awareness about your destination is something that is long-term and sustainable growth when the active participation of citizens, be it their own village or a citizen of a city or a state in large. That's how the 5 years election is happening. When people aware that these people cannot do what they have promised to do, or they are promised to, what they did was not good enough, they change the government. So the Indian governance and democracy is very well aligned in that. So people like us or professionals, we just being catalyst, we work on different geographies and try to enable those elements. But this is like no-brainer. This is what happens everywhere, in particularly in India. This is the process of governance.
Okay. Any particular success story from Odisha that you'd like to recount, having worked outside as well, that is something under the radar, probably?
If you want to understand Odisha, let's talk about some of the bigger disasters that Odisha has. So 1981, back then we had a massive disaster. Then 2000, let's say 1999 cyclone.
Yeah, cyclone.
99 cyclone, it affected Jagatsinghpur and few other districts.
Right.
And there were a lot of development funds that was there in India, and a lot of people came and adopted some of the districts. They were worked on making, so some of them also adopted some of the villages. So what they did, they created some infrastructure in the village. They made people aware about what is happening during disaster, how they should be prepared for disasters. When everyone in Odisha, or say India, Odisha is the best state to manage disasters. And the CM, the politicians, the political party, ruling government, everyone is being at a higher level are being praised. But nobody praises the villagers or the native people who live there for years, for months, facing those kind of disasters day in and day out. Let me talk to you about Fani. Fani happened in 2019, okay? And you won't believe, in Bhubaneswar also it affected Bhubaneswar. Bhubaneswar got back its electricity in say 7 to 8 days. Puri, it was almost like 30 to 40
Yeah.
days or more.
Yeah.
But the people made their life and made it a very adapted to that kind of a situation, reacted to that way. So ultimately, the communities who are the beneficiaries. So all your developmental goals are very much community oriented. So community, if you can manage your communities in the process, you are going to achieve what you want to achieve. And
Okay.
coming back to your success story. So as I told you, Jagatsinghpur and all the coastal areas where cyclone is a major thing, you will see people have adapted to what they should do in cyclones. So when the cyclone happens and evacuation happens, it's a no-brainer now.
Yeah.
So people by default, so obviously we don't acknowledge that because we have larger people to acknowledge. Similarly, this particular village I was mentioning about, Sonapur village in Odisha. I have personally interacted with the villagers a lot of time, and I have seen the particularly I like take example of collectors who have served in Ganjam. So last 2-3 collectors, they have focused a lot on in terms of I'm not judging any particular collector or an IS officer based on their performance. It's all the people that have served in the district. In last 5-7 years, Sonapur beach was never a news or nobody knew there is a beach. This is the only beach in Odisha which has a backwater, which has a beach, pristine beach, which has a forest. Now it has a blue flag beach and eco retreat is happening there. Some of the villagers having their own water sports. So just what happened? So me and some of the organizations that we worked with and some of our friends, we continued going there and working with the villagers. We kind of seeded some of the elements of tourism there. Then the district administration also took its own approach of orienting them, making them accountable in terms of their cleanliness. Now you go to the beach, I can bet you go to any beach in Odisha, it will be crowded unless it is a blue flag beach, which is a covered and a managed place.
Yes.
So all the beaches you will find crowded and also having a lot of garbage around, even though there are sanitation workers deployed. But you go to Sonapur beach, so the villagers have made it a point to keep it clean because they know that this particular tourism brings more business to the village.
Yeah.
So this is a very classic case study. I'll tell you something else also, like recent this Pahalgam incident. So I had an opportunity to do some research on Pahalgam before Pahalgam tourism. So it's a very active destination that attracts a lot of tourists. Now what will happen to the hotels? What will happen to those horse riders? What will happen to the guides?
Shikara riders.
What will happen to people whose main income generation is tourism? And so this incident. So I'm just telling you that how things change.
Yeah.
How if the thing would have happened in say in a place called Kupwara, so it would not affect Pahalgam that much.
Okay.
Because it has happened in Pahalgam. So Pahalgam by name it carries a lot of attraction.
Yeah.
So now it's a negative for the
People
destination.
will be skeptical to go there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this also comes under destination marketing or positioning. So these kind of narratives, if you want to develop any destination for a particular purpose, the narrative has to be very, very good. In that context, Bhubaneswar is also a very classic example that Bhubaneswar become smart city, the number one smart city. You go to any person, you will ask what is the number one, who is number two. Nobody will know what was the competition is all about, what are the conditions, what award that you got by being the smart city number one. Nobody will have an answer. But the narrative was Bhubaneswar was number one smart city. And also there are certain things that you see in Bhubaneswar will not find anywhere in India. Be it traffic rules and regulations. Though for a local you'll feel that this is not a very effective traffic. Because I travel to a lot of bigger cities. Bhubaneswar's traffic rules
Absolutely.
is much better than any other state. So, and the community. So, what Bhubaneswar did good in smart city planning, they involved the community at a larger role. So communities are also very strongly in by the side of the administration. So it is a combination of everyone.
Hmm.
So that's how these kind of destinations can prosper. Yeah.
Trying to blend destination with development, culture and tourism often clash. Have you seen any such conflicts in your experience, in your 3 decades
Yes.
of experience as a
Yes.
tourism expert?
It's actually very important topic. Um, Globally,
Hmm.
culture and traditions and all those elements that makes a destination unique than others is the most valued element. In technical terms, we call it as over tourism. So over tourism is a concept. I'll give you an example. Like after Three Idiot movie, that Pangong
Pangong
Lake
Lake, yeah.
become very popular.
Hmm.
I had been to Pangong Lake around 2015 and 16,
Hmm.
and now the accumulation of waste is very high.
Hmm.
So it has impacted the climate. It has impacted the also the destination, the weather conditions. I will tell you a very beautiful place called Puri. I was brought up in Puri. I call myself very fortunate to being brought up in Puri. Puri 10-15 years back and Puri now is a total
Heaven and hell
different
difference,
case.
yes.
The Puri has become more crowded. Puri has become more congested.
Hmm.
The waste generated in the city is huge.
Hmm.
So as a growing economy or any country for that matter, tourism is definitely brings negative impact. Being a tourism consultant or having worked in this space, I can totally tell you, tourism is not a thing that will be come completely clean.
Hmm.
It will bring some negativity around your destination. Um, but so that's what we are working on, how you can sustainably grow your destination.
Right.
And it is a work of the community, also it is a work of the businesses who are
Hmm.
operating in a destination. It is also the work of, say, the administration.
Hmm.
So combined approach is what going to make a difference. But as you have rightfully asked,
Hmm.
so there are bright examples
Hmm.
how the culture and things have affected
Hmm.
in terms of, because of tourism, because of hype. uh, you say a lot of people go to Manali. You'll go to, so Manali, particularly Himachal, people don't know. People only go for snow and some other
Hmm.
elements.
Hmm.
But places like Himachal or Uttarakhand, their culture, their traditions, the natural elements, they are the crux. They
Okay.
are the main elements. But because a popular narrative is about not about those elements,
Hmm.
so people go there not to experience those, rather to just have a leisure time.
So these are marketing narratives, no? I mean,
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
how you I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So that's why there is a need of
Hmm.
destination marketers.
Hmm.
So all the state governments, all the all central government, be
Hmm.
it India or any other
Yeah, yeah,
countries,
yeah, yeah.
bigger companies,
Hmm.
now they want to set the right narrative for the destination. I
Hmm.
will give you some very nice examples. I'll talk to you about three movies or three. There is a or series. There was a movie called Gangs of Wasseypur.
Hmm.
What is the impression that Wasseypur brings to your mind?
Hmm. Violence, gunfire, shots, all of that.
Absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I totally love both the movies.
Hmm.
So if you want to judge me, you can judge me, or anyone for that
I
matter.
love the movie as well.
I love the movie and I love everything.
Hmm.
But do I ever cared about what is there in Wasseypur?
I mean, for the initiated, people would know there was a coal mine belt there,
Yeah,
but
but
nothing beyond that.
nothing beyond that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If someone will tell you that let's go to Wasseypur as a destination, will you go?
Obviously not.
Of
Definitely
course.
not after the movie.
Next example is Mirzapur.
Hmm.
There was a series called Mirzapur.
Hmm.
If I tell you let's go Mirzapur,
Hmm.
I'll take you to one of the finest heritage sites. Will you go to Mirzapur, or will you have an opinion that Mirzapur can be having something like that? So that's how the narratives are being set.
Hmm.
You won't believe Mirzapur has one of the ancient rock arts of India.
Okay.
Mirzapur area is no, so there is Vindhyachal temple and lot of tourists go there.
Right.
Uh, and Mirzapur has one of the ancient rock arts. So in rock arts segment in India, MP has done exemplary work, and MP has got some UNESCO World Heritage sites where I also work. But nobody knows that Mirzapur has ancient rock art, which is prehistoric, which is amazing. From an archaeological point of view, Mirzapur should be get a top one rank in Indian context. But what opinion do you have from Mirzapur, from after the series? So these are the narratives, and this is very sensitive. So now there is a lot of hue and cry over gangs of Puri. Okay, I am from Puri, so and nobody has seen me more gangs than gangs of Puri in Puri. So,
Right.
but obviously we have grown there, so we
Yeah.
know what kind of culture
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we have. So see, the sanctity or the vibe that Puri has, gangs of Puri cannot eliminate that. If gangs of Puri would have made in Hindi or English and projected in Netflix or a bigger platform or a worldwide
Larger audience,
release.
yeah, access,
So
yeah.
what impression that people will have on Puri as a destination? Will they feel safe? Just like Pahalgam, will people feel safe coming to Puri when there is so much of violence? Absolutely. All the credit to the filmmakers. Everyone who were part of it, they made a good movie. Obviously, I have not seen it, so I will see if I see it. But from where I think, so these kind of narratives are negative narratives that impacts our destination. Okay, there is no harm. You make it a movie, say. So actually, this narrative came from Gangs of New York. There is a very popular movie called Gangs of New York. So you make a film like there is a movie called Ghamagote Nodia movie. You can give a different name. The moment you bring a name,
Okay.
destination's name,
Yeah.
to something which is not very well accepted in society. How many people, persons, houses or parents will like to see Khoon Kharaba and everything? So these are the narratives. Obviously, no offense, because all these
That
movies.
is art, yeah.
That
I
is
mean, that
art.
is
All
art.
these movies must have passed the censorship
Yeah, sure.
and everything. But like people like us who work in this domain, or a government, or a serious person who is more of a setting a positive narrative, will not like to promote or like to give such a name. So I have issues with, if in from that perspective, because I'm a destination marketer.
Professional, yeah.
I have issues with Gangs of Wasseypur. I have issues with Mirzapur, or I have issues with Gangs of Puri, because they sets a negative narrative. So the example that I gave you to tell you that what narrative can impact a destination, and how why narrative is very important. Bihar is a place nobody likes to visit. But do you know, Bihar is so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
The destinations, the elements, the knowledge that Bihar has as a state. But the narrative about Bihar and the narrative about UP is very different. If you ask people to go to UP, Banaras, say Ayodhya or Prayagraj, people will not say that there is a place called Azamgarh where there is a village called Hariyarpur,
Right.
which
Azamgarh.
all the villagers are classical music players. Okay, so these are elements or narratives, and the marketers or the professionals or the officials, whosoever works, and of course the social media people who take tourism to a different league. I'll give you one last example how the negative narrative is not good for our destination. So there is a raid has spawned in Koraput of a Nalcos का जो निकलता है.
Okay, okay.
जो
Waste,
का ash pond है,
yeah,
waste
yeah.
pond है,
Yeah.
which is completely red in color. So people from our Odisha, people who are now into social media, blogging, they have good drones now. Drone photography
yeah.
is very normal. So they take videos, very nice reels, and say, this is the first time I came and we discovered this place. It's a Mars in Odisha. Okay. So, and please don't come here. That's a tag. That's something that they say. The next person comes there because they saw something very interesting reel, which come top angle view. They say, please don't come here. This is something I came first time. I discovered it. So this competition to look very different. This competition to claim that we are first. The race to project yourself as the more knowledgeable person or a better content creator somehow also creates takes away that knowledge part. So a lot of negative narratives are being set through these kind of competitions.
When you talk of places in cinema and destination marketing at the same time, and they're portrayed in a wrong way, like for example, Gangs of Wasseypur, and no one would like to visit Wasseypur as a
Absolutely.
tourist place. So, how difficult or easy is it for you as a professional to combat that narrative?
So obviously, I have not worked in Wasseypur for now, but I would love to. But I have started working in Mirzapur. Okay, so so negativity cannot be the answer to negativity. Okay, I was a student of mass comm. I was a student of PR. We studied PR, theoretical part of it. So to like I'll tell you, in political news, if someone is saying this person is bad, the counter is always that you, if you are saying that I am bad, you are also bad. Okay, that's how the narratives is being said. But in PR, it doesn't work that way. If someone is saying that this is bad, then you have to show so much of good things about that bad thing that the bad thing will
Drown. Will be drowned.
evaporate.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll go away. So that's how it works. For a marketer also, you cannot put a lot of so first of all, negative marketing is
Is also marketing. Yeah.
But again, negative marketing may harm the destination or may harm a false narrative, may create a false narrative. So to on that context, what I will focus as a marketer or someone like me or someone in this same profession, we will try to bring a lot of positivity around the
Right.
destination. I'll give you a
Right.
very nice example. There was a recent incident in one of the universities in Odisha where some person died in some other countries and it became an international news. And because I'm an observer, I have observed how the PR narrative is being set for this. Obviously, the government reacted immediately, tried to reach out to the concerned authorities. They come up with their own narrative that we will support everything to the state. So that's a state's response and that's a state's responsibility. But the main protagonist or antagonist, whosoever it is, the university is there. I noticed all of their activities in last couple of days. They have very constantly, obviously they have taken two approaches. One approach is saying what whosoever is saying negative, you are also negative. You are all, suppose you are saying we are bad, then you are also bad. That's one thing that is also happening. And but at the same time, they have started to create a lot of campaign around their good things. So that's how it works. Okay, so
Yeah.
so for just for your example only.
Yeah.
So, as a destination marketer, if something is happening very negative about a place, our work is not to challenge the negative, but rather to bring a lot of positive vibes, a lot of stories that people will be interested, human interest stories, feature stories. So that's how a destination narrative is being set.
Under the current regime, governance plays a huge role in any case. What kind of administrative will or political will is required to make destination development a reality? And what has been your experience working with the Ministry of Tourism?
Government will keep on changing. So no any party that maybe BJP someday will come, Congress will come, or say AAP came in Delhi or in Punjab, or say BJD is there, and whosoever parties are, they will keep come and go. But the process will never stop. The process by year by will always be a development or a change process. What we were 5 years back is not the same people or same set of state that we are after 5 years. And what we are now, we will not be the same after 5 years.
Correct.
So it is a very continuous process. So we need to understand it is never a party oriented approach. Okay, it is never a party oriented approach. Now coming back to with the change, as your question is rightfully said, with the change of government. So what the new party will bring? If a new party might bring some of the learnings that the previous government didn't go for it. So maybe the distribution, I'll tell you a very simple example. There was something called heritage works that are happening in Odisha, and primarily it happened in
Old Town.
In Bhubaneswar.
Yeah, Khandagiri, Old Town, all of these pockets.
Bhubaneswar, for
Yeah,
its destination Bhubaneswar.
Yes.
So what happened after the new government came in? Odisha Tourism came up with three different heritage work concept in Puri, Sambalpur and Cuttack. Okay, so they might bring some new perspective on that. It's a very small project. So a new government might bring some of the case studies that their party is ruling in other states. Say UP and MP are very proactive in tourism. Both these states are BJP governed states. If you look at the political alignment, and same goes for say Gujarat also. All these three places, the number of people coming to these states are huge. When I say huge, Odisha is not close to any of them. The amount of people that tourism brings to the or the money revenue tourism brings to the states. So if there is a new state, new party that BJP coming to power in Odisha, what they will learn, what they will bring? They will bring some of the learnings that the other states have already did. So that's the change that I see. But at the same time, they also need to understand why the people didn't choose the previous government, even if it is a narrative. Say, Asmita, Odia Asmita is the main take in it. So, Odia Asmita is not something that we say like something happening in Maharashtra, say कि आप मराठी में बात करना ही पड़ेगा आपको या फिर कन्नड़ में आपको कन्नड़ बात करना पड़ेगा.
सही बात है.
It's not something to that.
Right.
But how our state, there will be a larger acceptance towards learning Odiyas, learning the language. How cultural awakening will happen in the growing, like all the Gen Z or Gen Alphas. What could be cultural value system that we can give away to the citizens? The distribution of development distribution, say something is happening in coastal Odisha and something is not happening in southern and western or east or say in northern Odisha. How that distribution can happen in a realistic way? So any new government, so I don't see the development process as a politics oriented, rather I see whosoever comes, even if it is a Congress, suppose Congress is not there in power in Odisha, if Congress would have come, they would have got some of the learning from
the previous
and they would have taken some learnings that the current the previous government in Odisha they didn't do. So that's how it needs to be. Ultimately, if you'll see, it's the same set of bureaucrats, the same set of people that were running or governing the state are there. Only 140 people or 120 people or 40 or 80 people have changed. But so you will not expect there is a huge change in terms of development process. It never happens like that. Okay, so in democracy, it is not something that obviously there will be a change. You'll find a change. It's also the intent and they will also learn with 1 or 2 years of operating the whole state how every element reacts to our approach.
Anant, how do you see Odisha as a rural tourism destination?
Well, if you go to any literature or any article that has written in Odisha is primarily a rural state. We don't have urban spaces. Now we have 5 municipalities five
municipal
corporations. But Odisha is 30 districts where very primarily rural destinations. And you will be glad to know that event tourism, the apex authority internationally who defines the policies globally, event tourism's focus is on rural tourism. Government of India and Ministry of Tourism's focus is particularly rural tourism. And I run my organization Bharat Anubhav. We are working in UP developing some of the villages. And if you ask me, Odisha could be a very classic example in India for promoting rural tourism.
Okay.
I can tell you there are 30 districts in Odisha, at least 1,000 villages can be developed as tourism destinations.
That's massive.
And it could increase their livelihood. It could increase their economy of the whole destination, development process, education system, because when people come from outside, they bring a lot of knowledge to the destination.
Right.
So I go to classic story of Raghurajpur. Say a craft village in say Pattachitra in Odisha, in Puri. There is a very interesting village. There are a lot of villages inside Chilika which carry the legacy of Lord Jagannath's stories. There are a lot of tribal villages in Mayurbhanj or Koraput. There are a lot of villages at the bank of Mahanadi. There are a lot of villages which are in island, in Sekendrapada. There are a lot of villages which are resilient because of cyclones. Continuously they have seen cyclone. Their stories, their lifestyles is very different. The food practice in rural India is amazing. So we need to learn from states like Meghalaya, from a neighbor state called Chhattisgarh, from states like MP, how to promote and develop rural tourism, say, for that matter, say Gujarat.
Right.
Very example, Run of Kutch.
Okay.
Run of Kutch, 2000 till 2008, it was just a white sand desert. But it was Modi ji, when he was CM, he started promoting it as a rural destination, and it was rural was never a term back then.
Yeah.
And now in Indian context, Run of Kutch attracts maximum tourists in a tourism season. So Odisha has a very
Massive
bright potential and massive potential in terms of rural tourism and rural economy.
All right. Let's end this podcast with a really fun question. I'll put you on the
Yeah,
spot
please.
here. Let's wrap the podcast with a fun question. Do you think a change in the Odisha tourism tagline was called for? India's best kept secret wasn't good enough?
Very interesting question.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you also note that there was a ask for a new tagline.
Yeah.
I have also applied. I have also given
Even
one
I'm
tag.
an applicant, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really like the name, the best kept secret. So, as a destination marketer, how I see things. So again, this is something not a very conventional answer. So every tagline has to be a call for action. Okay. So if I am giving a tagline, say India's best kept secret, then my efforts in promoting my state would be based on that tagline. Our effort in terms of policies, in terms of projects, whatever projects that I do, what kind of marketing, social media marketing, you'll go to see, very interesting, you go to any of those tourism department social media handles in India, you'll see every organization has their own style of content. So your tagline say MP, they say heart of India. Okay. And UP, they say soul of India or living soul of India, something. So their actions, their marketing, their positioning, their perception building, their products, their services, everything has to be in line with the tagline. So when Odisha was India's best kept secret, it was given around 2018 when Hockey World Cup happened. Okay, I obviously I follow what is happening around, so I observe. So it was coincided during that time from 18 to 2020, 2018 till 2025. As of now, it's almost like 7 years.
Yeah.
So if you tell me in terms of what kind of efforts being taken on, the term Odisha's best kept secret was coincided in 2018 around Hockey World Cup. So if you translate the term, it's basically India's best kept secret. So that means if you want to see more of India, come to Odisha. So did it reflect in terms of our policies? Did it reflect in terms of our services? Did it reflect in terms of our marketing strategies? So that we need to evaluate. So I think the new leadership that came to Odisha tourism, they realized though the campaign might be the right, the strategies might not be aligned. So they might have asked for a new tagline.
Okay.
If they commit the same mistake, if they got a tagline which is very good, obviously a lot of creative people will give their inputs. I have given a very stupid tagline, but my idea is to make it a very call to action oriented approach. So call to action means what? So your tagline has to be designed with a call to action where people, the stakeholders, stakeholders like you and me, like a podcast or a business enterprise, or stakeholders like a social media influencer or a travel blogger or a food blogger or a district administration or someone who has a huge land. If they get the narrative right and they act what is to be done by them, then the difference will be there.
Okay.
The difference will not be only by changing the tagline. So ultimately, what Odisha intends to achieve by whatever they are doing in terms of tourism, they want to achieve more tourist inflow. So a tagline should be designed or written or implemented in such a way that more tourists will come to the state. So the my stand on that is
Understood.
there.
Understood.
Yeah.
It was an absolute delight to have you on the podcast, Anant.
Thank you.
Great insights on tourism and destination marketing. Thank you so much for being on the Journey podcast.
Thank you so much.